A very warm welcome and greetings from the Association of Geospatial Industries. I am Sakshi Singh, Manager, Partnerships and Communications at AGI. In keeping with AGI's mandates of thought leadership and geospatial awareness building, we host frequent knowledge sessions on select themes with various experts in the field. Today's knowledge session by AGI is on the theme Mapping the Future of Geospatial. In an era where location based information is transforming industries and shaping societies, we are privileged to have gathered some of the most brilliant minds from the Indian geospatial industry with us here today to discuss these aspects. They will guide us through the intricacies of this dynamic field, shed light on how geospatial technologies are expanding horizons with emerging technologies, and revolutionizing applications like disaster mitigation and urban mobility. Throughout this session, we engage you. Sorry, just a minute. Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear.
Yes,
I can
yes,
hear
actually,
you.
you're audible.
Okay, thank you. So, throughout this session, we encourage all of our audiences to engage, ask thought provoking questions, and fuel discussions that explore the depths of these exciting frontiers. I sincerely thank our distinguished speakers and welcome you all to this knowledge session. And I hope that your insights will, come across as valuable and insightful to our audiences today. To our audience of industry professionals, government and research experts, as well as students, thank you for joining us today and enriching this forum with your presence. With that, let us welcome our first speaker of the day, Mr. Venkat Rajnikant, Delivery Head, Tech Mahindra, who will take us on a journey through the realm of emerging geospatial technologies. With over 25 years of IT services experience, he brings extensive experience in the entire value chain of GIS, from data collection and processing to implementation, support and maintenance of enterprise GIS applications, and digital transformation initiatives using AI, ML, and analytics. Mr. Venkat, the floor is all yours.
Thanks, Sakshi. Hello, everyone. Very happy to have got this opportunity to speak to all of you. So, in the interest of bandwidth, I may switch off my video during speaking or when I project my slides. So, I will try as much as possible to be on the video. So, let me share my screen. So, are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
it is visible.
Yeah, so you are able to see this title. Why I chose this title is, yeah, emerging geospatial technology means expanding horizons. By that I mean every domain is able to utilize it now. Means all the domains are going to leverage geospatial technology in the coming days. So let me go to my my slides. Are you able to see the next slide? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
So I will start with the transformation of GIS industry, how it was. And I believe many of the people who joined this session are from the GIS industry. So you see in GIS 1.0, which means this is the name given by me based on how it is getting transformed. We have seen limited transfer survey technologies and then CAD based map digitization. And it was all making the maps actually from paper maps. Then GIS 2.0 is what we are all, most of us are doing now in the GIS industry. There is satellite imagery, aerial survey, LiDAR, and then there are applications. Means if you see the industry products, means popular companies, they are giving industry specific use cases. And there is analytics also for decision making. And even the GIS based analytics are available from the major solution vendors actually. So now what is GIS 3.0 then? This is, for example, in the GIS industry, people in GIS industry mostly talk about the value chain that Sakshi was talking about when she was introducing me, from data collection till enterprise GIS applications, maintenance and support, day-to-day data updates and all. But your data is so important. Spatial data is such an important thing that if when other industries are talking about implementing digital twins, IoT, autonomous vehicles, metaverse, so many people in the other domains, they don't have GIS experience. and many of them don't know how the GIS data resides in the databases as compared to the conventional data. Many technical experts, actually, there are many IT architects who know conventional data very well, data analytics and all, but how the GIS data is stored, how this location data is used, many of them are not aware. That's where this industry GIS 3.0 is all about GIS domain experts, GIS data experts, and the rest of the industry interacting together to make it a big success. So I will focus today's session particularly on indoor mapping, digital twins, and metaverse. I am deliberately ignoring this outdoor mapping here because outdoor mapping we have been seeing for quite some time and all of you are aware of it, but indoor mapping is something that is expanding, and that is also an input, a very big input for digital twins, and then digital twins is a very big input for metaverse. Now, if you see the graphs that I have put in here, from this, you can imagine I have given the numbers from various sources in 2022, 23, 21. What is the total market size in US dollar billion for these particular industries, means particular new technologies, and how it is going to be in 2030? So that means every domain is going to continuously utilize these new technologies, and these technologies will not be of so much use without having the spatial data, means real-time data, spatial data, realistic data is very much important for this. So let us go to, means this is something that I came up with to explain about the digital twin spatio-temporal analytics. Means the features are the features I used only for example are few, but there will be many more. Now think about what you have digital twins application. And spatio-temporal analytics means you have a spatial data and you have time data, temporal analytics. So time, what is time? I'm just giving an example of 2045 sitting in 2023, but in digital twins, you have a capability. You know the population of a city or a village. You will put the population, and then you, during planning in the 3D digital twin, you can visualize by just selecting the year. You can build applications in such a way that it will recommend you, okay, for population increase, how many more houses, how many more hospitals, schools, police stations, water reservoirs. If you see the pictures, I have put additional reservoirs in 2045. Then you see, planning was happening earlier also. In even without GIS, it was happening. With GIS, it was happening. But how is it different with a digital twin? With a digital twin, what you are doing exactly is you are uh, particularly means visualizing the place. Now, for example, the administration department, urban administration department, when they utilize this, they see where all we need to build new roads and where all we need to allocate space for new apartments, where all we need to allocate space for schools when population is so much in 2045. Like that, they will think. They can visualize everything. They can plan it. They can put flyovers using the tools that we have. And that can make a very good base for planning future. It means what are the energy needs? I'm not putting everything here, energy and all, but every need they can put and plan properly. And also for disaster. If any disaster happens, what are the evacuation routes? Many things they can plan using the digital twins, spatio-temporal analytics. Next, coming into metaverse. So particularly, let me explain metaverse now. All of us, many of us have children who play regularly the multi people games. It means they have many people interacting in the games. Their friends also join from their homes. They interact with each other, play as teams in Roblox or other Minecraft kind of games. So that is virtual reality. When we see their screens, it looks very beautiful, beautiful landscapes with new characters, new kinds of weapons. Many things will be there. But that is all virtual reality. There, the real places are not shown in that. And here, what we are talking about in the coming days means now we are utilizing that metaverse for a completely different purpose. We want an immersive experience in the real world. And now, as a tourist, I want to visit Rome. I don't have visa. I don't have time. I don't have leaves. What I will do, I want an immersive experience. I will have some cryptocurrency in a particular metaverse site. And what I will do, I will get into that with my headset, VR headset, and get into Rome, move around. Means a real map. Means I want the exact experience. If I go to Rome, the size of the roads, or if any lakes are there, or everything, I want experience in the same manner. Any museums and all. So how is it possible? So metaverse gives that. So it's all about virtual reality plus augmented reality gives extended reality experience in the real world. So it is possible only with spatial data. Now, I have made 2 slides to give that impression. Indoor mapping. How will we use indoor mapping? What is the difference? In indoor mapping, when I go to an airport, I use my mobile, I move around really in a physical world. In a physical world, it guides me to the right place in an airport. It guides me to the right products in a retail mall. But when you go to a digital twin is not real world for you. When I am sitting in a control room or in front of a screen or laptop, this digital twin shows me everything in the physical world with sensors giving me right information from the physical world. So I'm visualizing physical world from outside virtually. And what about metaverse? Then I am using digital twin inside a metaverse now, but it gives me immersive experience. I am feeling I am getting into that with a virtual reality headset, and I am enjoying, I am understanding the place. I'm talking about as a tourist earlier, but for businesses, for city administrators, everyone, it will be very useful. Means it is a very useful tool, immersive experience in a metaverse. And all this is possible with geospatial technology because you should have location as the primary thing to make it happen really. And the same thing I have put for if you want to tour a city or a forest, outdoor mapping is an input for a digital twin, and then digital twin is an input for metaverse. Now coming to the difference between this digital twin and metaverse, I have already explained earlier. It is a 3D replica of a physical model for anything, including cities, towns, forests, buildings, or inside anything. And you will navigate every part of the 3D replica by visualizing on any computer screen. Coming to metaverse, you will navigate with an immersive experience. This is the difference. Now, look at this picture. First picture. Now there is a country that is being troubled by a neighbor, and the neighbor has many terrorist camps in the border areas or some place inside. And now, if you are able to get all the data and make a metaverse out of it, defense personnel can sit in their own country and do a recce inside the territory of the enemy, move around and see every place and understand how to take the next action. But if they are able to do, it means there is a cyber security breach from the point of view of the other country. Will nations be able to protect themselves? Yes, technology advances. There will be a lot of investment that will be needed in cyber security and security aspects as well. But this will be a reality in the coming days with the technology that is advancing. And shopping, we go get into Swiggy or Dunzo kind of things and select menu and get things. I mean, we order things. Think about getting virtually into a shopping mall, go to each place and select the items you want, and you have cryptocurrency on your head, and you will keep on paying for that and select, and it will be delivered home. But you are, remember, into a real shopping mall and to the real racks you are getting virtually using these maps, because they are giving you that access to enter virtually through metaverse. That will be the future. So I have explained the concept so far. These are a few examples of indoor mapping digital twin metaverse. These are not limited to it. These are applicable to most of the domains in the industry. But a few things like what we have experienced so far, a retail store in indoor mapping or event planning or office space planning. And indoor mapping leverages BIM actually to a great value. That will be a great value add for digital twins because it needs all the aspects. So now in digital twins, as I explained, there is you can plan several things: manufacturing plants, large offices, bridges, airports, everything you can plan. And even for agricultural farmers, it will be very useful digital twin. They can understand how to optimize the water irrigation, fertilization, and also the pesticides, and they can predict yields also. And metaverse, so far been talking about that. It is all integrating geospatial data with virtual environment and giving an enhanced immersion view for the users. So that is the metaverse. Now I want to come to Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra is going very fast on all these offerings. Whatever is required, whatever you need, for example, blockchain, NFTs, and all are required very much for metaverse. These things, we have technologies, we have partnerships, we have solutions within Tech Mahindra. And Web 3.0 edge computing is very much important for sensor sending data, real-time data when you are using digital twins, and that also we have. And also on metaverse, we have our own metaverse, designed it, and it is doing very well. We have a lot of features in the metaverse that Techem is offering. Techemverse it is called. And now, so this is Tech Mahindra's digital twins service portfolio. We do end-to-end whatever is required for a digital twin and for several domains. There is virtualization, multi-access edge computing using 5G. And we all understand now it is 5G everywhere it is coming up. Our data speeds are significantly higher than today. And that is what is required for the sensors to transmit the data in the coming days when digital twins becomes a reality. So it is all exciting times with all this, and we do all the steps that are required. And if you see, we have been working with all these customers for digital twins, come metaverse, both together, and several things in pipeline. And these are our partners and investments. We have several partners. Actually, you see, if you talk about the skill and partnerships, right, you cannot get everything required as a single piece from anyone. You need to get communication technology from someone, then the sensors from someone, then the some kind of technology from someone. All put together, you will have a great digital twin or great metaverse. That's what will happen. So this is what we have invested in going forward. And yeah, if you see a case study, one case study I have brought here. Suppose if you want to enter a thermal power corporation, there will be a lot of safety issues, helmets, and whether everyone should be allowed or not, whether I mean security, whether people can be given access. A lot of things will be there. So NTPC has created this digital twin through Tech Mahindra, and if you see, people now can be easily trained on the entire plant. They will move around. They will understand every part, every component. Move around means I'm not talking about metaverse right now. They can see on the screen and navigate just as you navigate for the digital twin. But certainly, this can be made into metaverse as well to have immersive experience. You can be given headsets. People will think they are moving inside a particular NTPC plant, and when they go really, they will feel exactly the same experience that they have seen virtually. That's how it is. And yeah, there are other case studies, several things we are doing on these digital twins and metaverse. A lot of things means even AI ML is also very important. We have IoT platforms, we have digital twins, we have Techemverse, which is integrating all these components. So this is all I wanted to cover right now. So I I can leave it to everyone for questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mupala, for throwing light on the futuristic concepts and the potential of indoor mapping, digital twins, the metaverse, and their interplays. For our next speaker, we have Dr. Anirudh Roy, Chief Technology Officer at Genesis International, who will talk about the remarkable concept of living digital twins for disaster mitigation. With around 35 years of experience in spatial technologies, Dr. Roy has previously held significant roles of leadership in leading geospatial companies, has worked on several projects, scientific projects at IIT Bombay and ISM Dhanbad, and published over 50 technical papers on GIS and remote sensing in various conferences and journals. Dr. Roy, now please take over.
Thank you, Sakshi, and good afternoon to all the delegates. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Venkat, actually, for giving the preamble of this digital twin. So precisely in 10 minutes, which is the time which is allocated to me, I'll just try to cover off a very brief about the living digital twin, which is a concept which is very lately been coined. And the presentation, because as already explained, digital twin is all over. It was there prevailing in the manufacturing industry. But now in the geospatial domain, we have brought in this concept that how it can solve the problems. So given that, because the topic that I have chosen is how it can be related to disasters, and that too for any one specific disaster, because these days we are finding a lot of landslides are happening in Himachal, in Uttarakhand. So I felt, let me put a context into the whole subject. And that's what I'll explain what these disasters actually mean. What is the concept of living digital twins? What are the maturity model of the digital twins that as a national think tank, There is a committee which has been formed by the senior officers from the Government of India from various domains, as well as the industry is also participating. I'm a part of that. So I'll throw some highlights on what are the thought processes on that. And some case studies like how landslides and land subsidences one can actually take and help of this digital twin and can solve problems. So very broadly, when we talk about these disasters, we do have these natural disasters, and then we call that man-made disasters, but I prefer to call them accidental disasters. And then we do have these intentional attacks, also known as terrorism and other kind of activities. Very important part in the whole aspect is the disaster management cycle. So now, in India, we do have National Disaster Management Authority who provides the guidelines to all the states that what is the way we should go forward in order to prepare ourselves, mitigate, and then we should respond and recover. All this situation is what we call disaster management cycle. So the situation starts with the pre-disaster process, wherever how can we minimize the impacts of the future disaster? And this is what we call the mitigation measures. Then as we come across and we find, okay, rainy season is coming and there are floodplains which may be getting affected, we go for the preparedness. And whenever there is a crisis happens, we immediately put across the response system through the first responders or also maybe with the NDRF. And then slowly the local administration also get into the recovery mode. So the part which is more relevant today is that pre-disaster stage, what are the planning exercises that we can do which can help? Now, if you actually come across the definition, I'm not going to read it out, but broadly with the Disaster Management Act 2005, which has been given by Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, disaster is some negative or catastrophic activity which is beyond the coping capacity of the community of the affected area. Other than that, also there are too many terminologies. We do have the hazard, vulnerability, susceptibility, incident, accident, all that prevails. But whatever the negative consequences that is happening from an event, which the community in itself cannot cope up, is in the literal term is known as disaster. So if you see the terminologies and the kind of disasters, earthquakes, floods, landslides, and we are all about COVID, this is a part of epidemics. But the interesting part is that 90% of these disasters, which are actually creating a loss of life and properties, are hydrometeorological in nature. If you see the statistics, and very broadly, I'll go for that. And this I just cut and put it from the web, that Himachal Pradesh, there are 17,000 active sites which are prone to landslides. And that's what I felt that I should highlight something on these lines. And if you see the kind of frequency, the most frequent one is the drought, followed by the earthquake and basically at what happened. This is from 1990 to 2014. But as far as the mortality concerned, you will find that in this one decade, earthquake, epidemic, and the extreme temperature, flood, landslide, and storm, this is the order in which it is happening. Now, keeping that into view, you have got these floods, winds, earthquakes. So in short, these are very interesting areas to work where we can actually contribute to save the lives and also the properties. Now, coming to the definition of the digital twin, you have got one level of preview, what Venkat has already shared. But the fact what we are going to reiterate is that you have got the physical world and you have got the digital world. So digital twin is the virtual representation of the real world, including all kind of processes, relationship behaviors that we simulate in the digital environment. And the concept of living digital twin is that how can you actually see the real things happening? So typically through the sensors which are giving the data in the real time, on the near real time, you are actually getting a feed. And this is how as though the digital twin has got the life. And that's what we are calling the digital twin. So very importantly, if you see landslides, we do have the whole of country. Geological Survey of India is the nodal agency in this country for determining and acting on what landslides and subsidences can happen. These are various pictures which I have taken from recent Himachal Pradesh and you see the kind of devastation it's causing, including failure of the bridges. So two aspects are very important when you talk about the landslides. So one is actually the weather maps, which IMD provides. Also, the topographic maps by and large, Survey of India is responsible for creating that as a mandate. But besides that, there are multiple agencies who are acting on top of it. Now, there is a maturity model of the digital twin. So first and foremost, the exact replica in 3D that you can see with the open standards, and one can use any of the industry standard or the open source platforms. One can actually see the virtual assets, which is the geometric part of the things. Once you attach the attributes, then it becomes the informative part of it. Then you start putting the sensors on top of that, then you getting the feed, and then it becomes interactive. Then you would like to automate the whole thing, it becomes much intelligent, and then you would like to predict the physics of how, and the modeling part of it is a predictive digital twin. So we are going from the maturity of virtual asset of the digital twin, which is just the static asset, and then in the real-time prediction, which is happening through the prognostic modeling. So this is the growth path. Very quickly, I'll give a relation to that with the landslides. Like this is a model which has been created by the LiDAR data. This is not a picture. This is a model which has been acquired from the LiDAR, and it shows how the hilly slopes and the wedge failure can happen. Collection can be done from the aerial platform, can be terrestrial platform, and then two kind of models are created: digital surface model and digital terrain model. Both are important. And once you attach the data sets along with this model, this becomes informative. The third aspect, along with the spatial models, which is the geometric nature of the model, and then the information attached to that, the third aspect comes to the interactive part of it. And this is where the sensors are actually placed on top of the hillside, and it can be in the buildings as well. So if you see, there is a large bridge, and in this bridge, various kind of sensors are there. Anemometers are there, 3D accelerometers are there, dynamic strain gauges are there, buffer sensors, bearing sensors, all perform different kind of activities, but finally leading to the structural health of this bridge. And these are the real feeds. So while we have the digital model, these feeds are actually giving the structural health of this bridge at various locations on various parameters remotely, which anybody can access provided they are given the right permission. Same happens here in the landslides as well. You do have the alerts which are actually coming from the actual landslides. There are tilt sensors, there are pore pressure sensors, there are inclinometers. These alerts comes to the control center from where people can actually access the data. This is one aspect, and I'll very quickly cover this. This is Joshimath. Probably it was all over in the news. You have heard that multiple people went there. NDRF was in action. State government has done a fabulous job. And we immediately sent a drone, and we found that let us capture that picture of the as is. This is the area. This is the area Joshimath. We have seen the beautiful mountains. But when we actually sent the team, they have come out with the setup. We have quickly created the data acquisition. We created the 3D models. And we also identified the cracks which has happened in the buildings as well as in the the terrain, the cracks that you can actually visualize. So this is not a picture. This is actually the 3D model that we created out of it. One aspect which we felt that because there was no real-time information which was possible, and we felt it is very important to get the realistic feed, we tried an alternative method of creating interferometry SAR data from the satellites. We have actually do have a partner with whom we have worked very closely to actually predict that what has actually happened in the past 3 to 5 years. And then we found these are the areas which has not happened all of a sudden, because no amount of sensors can actually give you the vast amount of work and the subsidences which is happening all over, because this is a very small incremental changes. There may be certain places in the terrain, there was an uplift, there may be a subsidence. Accurate measurement of that we have calculated. Now, the fact is that same exercise, we could also do it all along the road, and we could able to create a susceptibility map. Wherever there is a movement which will giving us the alert that which are the areas on risk, which vehicular things. So this is a very modern way of actually solving the problems. and superimposing these results on top of the digital twin. So as a company, what we do have a lot of infrastructure. We have got 3 manned aircraft. We do have close to 100 of mobile mapping systems, which is equipped with 360-degree panoramic imaging systems and LiDAR. We also do have a lot of ground-based things. So our objective is that if we need to create the disaster resilience and establishing the Atmanirbhar Bharat, there is a policy which has come up, which is National Geospatial Policy 2022, released by Government of India. So we felt that there is an aspect of digital twin creation is also as part of the mandate. So we as Genesis, we felt that we are gearing up to create that geometric digital twin along with the informative digital twin, followed by the partnership of many other like-minded people and the participants and the startups and the industry players with whom we are going to create the prediction of the digital twins. Now, getting into the summary, the spatial digital twin, what we are telling, it's very evolving. The definition is also evolving world over. It's nothing like that in India. We're talking first time. So all over the world, this definition is evolving. One of the fundamental aspect is that we need to create very accurate 3D digital terrain and as well as the digital surface models. Important aspect is that we need to create the real-time and near real-time sensors. In the absence of that, we should also use alternative satellite data, which can be providing the feeds in a real time or maybe in the near real time. That is also fine. The whole objective is that digital twin, which is a living digital twin model, helps in taking a right and timely decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Roy, for sharing with us the concept of the living digital twin and its immense potential in disaster management, which I believe is a primary focus area for the country's central and several state governments today. Our final speaker for today's session is Mr. Shashank Jaiswal, Country General Manager South Asia for UNL, who will unveil the exciting facets of the future of mobility, a world where data takes the wheel. Mr. Jaiswal is a strategic business thinker with over 2 decades of experience in the tech industry, spanning telecom, smartphones, and geospatial technologies. He has also been the recipient of the Indian Achievers Forum for outstanding professional contributions to the Indian automotive navigation industry. Mr. Jaiswal, that stage is all yours.
Thank you, Sakshi. I hope my skin is visible.
Yes, it is.
Perfect. First of all, thank you, AGI team, to inviting for this such a wonderful session. And our two fellow panelists has already set the stage and such a wonderful from GIS 1 to GIS 3 and digital twin to living digital twin. So I have covered the next generation consumer application using geospatial. So using this, let's deep dive into next generation consumer application side. I would like to take just 1 minute to introduce my company. Based in Singapore, Amsterdam, and India, we are next generation micro location mapping technology platform. We have developed a smart addressing platform where we give businesses to anyone, anywhere, and unique verifiable smart address, transforming the physical world into a multi-layer smart 3D grid of microcell. We give every physical location a smart GeoID. On ground, indoor, up in elevation, UNL GeoID can address location with a micro precision of up to 1 centimeter. That's our uniqueness. We want to present maps in two parts. Maps of today. Maps of today it has evolved, but still you will find that one map fits all is developed on the concept of one map fits all. It's a static and outdated data. It's centralized. While we realize that future of maps is beyond that, future of maps like digital transformation, new technology like autonomous vehicle, drone, 5G, IoT sensor data, LiDAR, BLE, beacon SDK, indoor venue mapping. These are throwing a new demand of new wave of innovations in geospatial industry, and that's where the new requirement will come. That's a hyperlocal and contextual mapping, dynamic content and real-time update, distributed and democratized, where user can also brand can business can also decide that who all should be the user, which information. It's not that one information will be accessible for a moment you are building any application. So certain information you want to showcase to your marketing, a different department, Salesforce, etc. You want a micro location services. This is what we predict as a future of map. Future of mobility. Our mission is to shape the future of transportation by democratic data ownership and sustainable with fair value. And future of mobility will have three core elements: data ownership. By exercising right ownership, a business can also they can bring their own business data for better data driven insights. If they have to take data driven side today, business also generate tons of data in day-to-day operation through sensor data, etc. And somewhere they are not using because data ownership doesn't belongs to them. Then sustainability, all we are concerned about green mobility. We are talking EV, etc. electric vehicle. So future of mobility lies in sustainable transportations and network value. We are moving towards 5G and 6G, where connecting data from various sources seamlessly and securely is the future. Leveraging network effect for data collection, ML, driven optimization, algorithm training, and more. In summary, if we think geospatial data, it's around people, places, parcel, and planet. And now it will be more usable if it's hyper connected and hyper contextual. We have covered in a three part geospatial tech for next gen consumer. Now industry want data ownership and they want to innovate around micro location services. Geospatial and deep tech synergies, big data and IoT sensor data integrations, edge computing analytics, computer vision, LiDAR plus telemetry data. Then we have a digital twin, augmented reality, and metaverse. And on top of that, we also think the data monetization. I'm also wants to cover that geospatial trend and challenges in the next decade. Creating most accurate flight map creation for drone or path route creation for robotic is a next wave where lots of innovation are happening, but accuracy will take some time. And especially in a drone, you have to support elevation. You have to see that if any electric wiring are coming in between, at what length or at what height it should fly, so any obstruction should not come. And future of maps also looks like seamless integration of indoor and outdoor routing. If you're sitting in on a within a mall on third floor in any restaurant and you want to create the route from your home, that's also one of the future. And autonomous car with better road safety, etc. That's where geospatial trends are going. By sharing insights on all the next generation applications, data processing and monetization is the real challenge. And we propose various monetization opportunities using map commercializations and by enabling location data as a service. A quick look on a data monetization market landscape. The Indian geospatial data monetization market is expected to grow from 3.1 billion USD dollar to 8.6 billion dollar by 2025. A growth of market is being driven with multiple factors: the increasing adoption of geospatial technology and growing demand for geospatial data and services across sector. And what's the real pain point in achieving that data monetizations? Today, we are We have a LiDAR data, we have telematics, IoT data, sensor data, multiple kind of data. But the problem is that initially all data points are getting generated as a raw form. It has lots of noise. It has its own different format. It's a somewhere is in a telemetric GPS traces, somewhere is a LiDAR format, somewhere is a SAFE format. So that's the bigger challenge in data monetization, that we have a raw data. If we have to transform in a data lake or warehouse, we have to validate it, standardize it, create a version around it, so real-time update can be planned accordingly. And then we have to create a managed data service, metadata on provider, source, vintage, ownership, privacy, managed with semantic relationship. In UNL, we have a cell and we create a managed and semantic relationship between cells. Compile format ready to serve as in a web API to serve any kind of the micro location service requirement. We want to also focus that unlock the seamless flow of data, contribution, processing, and monetizations. Nowadays, if you see any mobility, lots of rider, lots of business activity, they themselves generate and tons of data. Like when we make any deliveries, we store uh, a parcel delivery, we store that customer house addresses, etc. If we keep saving such kind of the addresses, what will happen? After a certain period, brand will also create its own knowledge graph, and that will help them to save their tons of time. That if they have a validated address record in their repository, next time they don't have to struggle while calling customer 10 times, ki, I reached here, how to reach to your home. So in data contribution, we say that data collections, validations, application, we generate lots of location-based services data from the applications also. Then we have a third-party data. Then we have a partner data. Then we have a, now we also moving toward cross-sourcing data. So we have variety of data, but when we think about data processing, it comes as a raw data where we have to create a format standardizations. We have to clean the data, make a structured data, and bring as a standard data. And how we can monetize? We can monetize internally or externally both. And if you talk any kind of web developer and app developer, they simply understand web API. They really they don't understand. They struggle on in geospatial data because we have a challenge around the uh, sub-locality area. For a moment in Punjab, uh, we have a pocket, somewhere we have a sector, somewhere we have a chalk, somewhere. So geospatial, it doesn't comes as a standard universal format. And that's where all we wants to move toward AI analytics. And while geospatial is a very more localized effort, and we come with key, okay, we will collect all business data and will synthesize the data and will expose brand in form of web API for better accurate, that if they want a dynamic routing, place discovery, address, we have a living geocoder and applications which they can monetize internally, or they can reduce the confidential data and they can go for a data monetization. That's all, actually.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Jaiswal,
you.
for throwing light on the futuristic applications of geospatial technologies, on data processing and monetization, and of course, the various proficiencies of UNL to serve such futuristic requirements. With that, I would like to move to a quick Q&A session with all our speakers. Now, seeing the paucity of time, I have like maybe one question each for all our speakers, but our audiences are free to drop in their questions as well in the chat box. My first question is to Mr. Venkat. Sir, your presentation highlighted the rapid emergence of Indo mapping, digital twins, and the metaverse. Can you provide examples of certain sectors that have seen the most transformative impact from these technologies so far, in reshaping traditional workflows?
Yeah, indoor mapping, as I said in my presentation, the shopping malls, then even airports, we all have experience very much. So with adapting very quickly, all means across the world, and particularly retail is one that is having more use cases for the indoor mapping. Coming to digital twin, the city administrations, particularly many cities have implemented digital twin. Singapore is an example that we always hear, and there are many other cities that have adopted for managing the administering the cities very well. And coming to metaverse, it is, yes, it is at a means early stages, but it is the real estate globally that is looking at metaverse to ensure that people will have that immersive experience in their constructions, in their houses. That is, they are investing more in getting to get in there. That is what is the current position. But going forward, all the industries domains may adopt these technologies to make our experience very good.
Thank you so much. Dr.
Thank you.
Roy, my next question is for you. Digital twin technology, it requires a robust underlying infrastructure, which includes high-speed connectivity and computational resources. So, how do you envision the adoption of a living digital twin in an area which has limited technological resources or during a disaster that can disrupt the technological ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sakshi. I think it's a great question. Uh, First and foremost, let me put it across. There is a need for planning. So the first aspect which I highlighted, that these kind of technologies are predominantly used for planning and prediction. So before the disaster strikes, one has to be very clearly equipped that, okay, the early warning system will help them to understand that this is the time it is going to strike. And that's why by that time, the internet and other communication underneath technologies are robust. But having said that, if there are issues which are there, two things I would like to highlight. Number one, industry now they are slowly and gradually moving to the edge computing, which is basically you process the data very closer to the data source. Number one. Number two, as you've seen in the case of bridges, there are at least 30 to 40 such kind of sensors which are there, which have been put for the right use probably. Prioritizing which sensor should play a vital role, only those sensors should be operated. Also, in case of communication, when there is a disruption, there are still mechanized way to put the low bandwidth communication. In case all these three fails, then the one which we adopted for Joshimat is like that you create an alternative by getting the feed which can still help the disaster planners and the managers. Like we have used INSAR data, that it is giving a almost near real time, if not in every minute or every seconds, but few hours or few days is also still okay, as long as we are getting that coverage. So this is the way we felt this can be eliminated.
Thank you so much, Dr. Roy. Mr. Jaiswal, there is a question for you in our chat box from Mr. Bhupesh. He wants you to elaborate a little more about the regulatory aspects of data monetization.
Geospatial data is broadly covered by National Geospatial 2022 policy. But when we talk about data monetization, it's a different angle because we need to train our algorithm. Algorithm as mass data is not a single data. And when we talk about algorithm, somewhere we have to create anonymized data. We are not going a person, Mr. Anirudh Roy data or this. Yes, we collect it, but to train that, any kind of analytics prediction model, we have a maximum data, as much data we have for in case of live traffic. One of the example, we create a predictive model of historical data. Then we have a live traffic as much as data. We will create most accurate live traffic, most accurate ETA. So uh, in geospatial, we normally go with geo anonymized data. That's the standard train. Of course, we don't want to share anybody personal data. That's how we try to keep away ourselves from regulatory requirement. Past data, clean data. That's the mostly I will say that that's the way we can save ourselves.
Thank you. I think we have time for another round of questions. So I'd come back to Mr. Venkat. So there's a question in the chat box around affordability, capacity building, and training. And I have a similar question myself. So these emerging geospatial technologies, as they become more accessible, there is also a growing need for skilled professionals on both the industry and user side. So if you could throw some light on this, considering that these technologies are so interdisciplinary in nature, so what should be the roadmap ahead?
Elijah dropped out for a moment. Can you tell who's this question is for?
Yeah, so Mr. Jameel Ahmed has
Okay.
presented a question, and so I'm asking it to you, Mr. Venkat, that since these emerging technologies that you talked about, they are so interdisciplinary in nature, and it
Yeah.
requires a lot of upskilling from both the industry and user side. So, what should be the outlook in this scenario?
Yeah, means what I say is all the skills, for example, technical skills are already within the industry, not now, always. It's all about bringing all the skilled people together. For example, a digital twin, you electronics has always been there, sensors have always been there, embedded programming has always been there. Then GIS data 2D, 3D has also always been there. What is new is several companies have been building new softwares. We need to get people trained on those new softwares, which are custom made for implementing these digital twins or metaverses and all. So skill, you will select the right skills from programming skills, then architect skills, then electronic skills and data skills, everything together. And someone to program manage very well all this by training appropriately at the start of the program. So that's how we need to upskill for the project.
Thank you so much. Dr. Roy, coming back to you. Disaster management is an area which involves several stakeholders. So, what should be their role in making the living digital twin work for them when it comes to the preparedness and response stage of the disaster management cycle?
Okay. Okay. So this is again very interesting. So there is a solution provider side and there is a user side. Now what happens when some, and there are multiple stakeholders in the whole game, as you have correctly told. First and foremost, the the data providers, they should provide very quality data, because as input garbage is output garbage. A good quality data which is reliable is number one, which is the job of the data provider. Number two, the public by and large, when they contribute to the disaster scenario in this case, and that is applicable to everybody, we call it crowdsourcing. So the crowdsourcing data, if it comes and that is coming from the masses, there should be checks and balances that which should be ingested, which is not. They are also a very important stakeholder in the whole game. We also do have the typical field engineers who will actually assess that the data which is actually coming, the infrastructure which is there, we should be in a position to optimize the design plans, because it's not like that we are loading with hundreds of sensors and it is not giving whatever. So that is the second. Infrastructure maintenance part is also very important, because those who are responsible for maintaining the infrastructures, that, okay, in the time of crisis, you find none of those things are actually working. So regular maintenance and monitoring is also very important. And more importantly, the public, the community, which are typically the first responders and the emergency responders, they should be trained, and awareness needs to be created that yes, this kind of technologies do exist. And the last question, which I could also relate with the questions which is coming from Mr. Jamil, which is that how much these solutions are affordable to the government and ULBs, which is very important. The government is the user by and large in most of our cases. And we find that there is a tangible and intangible return on investment. Not everything can be in the monetary terms. there is no value you can map with respect to the life of a person or a human being. So that's why it is very important to create a policy wherein that is mandated that this kind of technologies, once it is successfully adopted to get the return on the investment and proven, should be replicated and should be funded well, as well as guidelines should be there. The data should be interoperable. Data should be based on the open standards, and that's why the whole ecosystem should be vibrant, and they should all wholeheartedly adopt it. These are my brief responses.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Roy. Mr. Jaiswal, my final question is to you. You talked
Yeah.
about the future of mobility in your presentation and how it is closely tied to network effects. So, how do you foresee the role of 5G technology in this aspect when it comes to, say, real time data exchange and communication in the transportation ecosystem?
Great question, Sakshi. So when we say future of mobility, is really closely tied with our network value, because that means now more and more people are more connected towards any devices, or that sensor data. When we go somewhere, at every point of time we are generating certain data. So as we are hyper connected, we use the word hyper connected. That means even nowadays you see, when you go to walk or for some, when you to Fitbit, etc., devices, wearable device, etc., so many devices are there. So that means we are closely interconnected with the cellular network. And with, as 5G is coming, that means it will help us toward the real time data update. It would be, cellular data will be more at faster rate would be available. Earlier we had 2G, 3G, 4G. Now we have a 5G. So this, how this will help geospatial company, as normally in the data we struggle to offer real-time update. The reason is that first we do survey, then we process it, then we make it update. Somewhere our data are 5, 6 months older. So with the help of network, we would be 5G adoption. We would be able to cover the use case of autonomous car to make the better, safer car. Industry 4.0 will be another use case for with the help of 5G, etc. Then we also have a vision of a smart city, where we need a better cellular network. If we have to generate data, process, and give back to the applications, then better fleet management services. And yeah, these kind of services are only possible if we have a better cellular network infrastructure. And yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much, Mr.
One more technology thread is coming. Just industry is moving, especially car industry is moving vehicle to grid, vehicle to everything, V2X. It's all our in core DNA is a 5G, 6G. Without this, it's not possible.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your insights. Ladies and gentlemen, now we draw the curtains on our enlightening knowledge session today. And I'm really grateful for our esteemed speakers and their incredible insights on the future of geospatial, on the various application areas and technologies that they talked about. And to our audiences, I am really grateful for your presence and participation. And I really hope that you found this session meaningful and enriching. As we carry forth the lessons and ideas that we've exchanged in today's session, let us remember that the geospatial landscape is a canvas of limitless potential. So, together we have discussed some of the aspects, but it is really, the discussion is not at all enough, whatever we have talked about today. As the voice of the geospatial industry in India, AGI hopes to continue to spark conversations around this topic in the future. Once again, thank you all, and I hope you can join us again for our next knowledge session next month. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Sakshi.
Thank
Thank
you,
Thanks,
you,
such a
AJ.
Sakshi.
wonderful
Thank
Thank
you,
you
session.
all
all.
delegates.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Thank you
thank you
all.
everyone.